welcome to another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where today we're going to go over UFC Fight Night, Volkov versus Gane. You always got to take all your wins, all your losses, but we're still winning, baby. Yeah, another profitable week last week. Again, you have to follow the picks over on Instagram, over on Twitter, at Stacks and Stacks Podcast on both platforms. We hit every single part of the posted plays again, outside of one underdog. You got to take shots on your dogs, baby. The other one hit, and when you hit big underdogs, it makes up for it. And when you throw those locks into parlays, it makes up for it. And man, oh man, are we on a roll. This makes 4 consecutive weeks with not just being, getting our money back, but being majorly profitable. And we want to keep that streak going. This card, again, is a pretty tricky one to navigate through, just because of the lines. I do have a lot of sides I like. I just don't like the lines themselves. So you just got to be weary. You got to be careful with some of these. So let's hop right into it and we'll figure out how to get you through it. So again, we got Gane versus Volkov. We got it's a pretty decent card. It's not great, but it's, I should say, not a lot of big names, but compelling matchups. So we'll start right and early at this lightweight division. We got Yancy Medeiros going up against Amir Hadzovic. We have Yancy coming in at a plus 115 dog, and money coming in on Demir. So I've seen it up to plus 120, plus 125 just a few hours ago. Demir at minus 145, minus 150 favorite. We have the over 2.5 at minus 162. The under at plus 132, under 2.5. We'll start with the favorite. We'll start with Demir. Not a lot to talk about with him, in all honesty. His striking is very good. He's a little low volume for my liking to put money on. I don't like, you never know trusting the judges. So he does go out there and try to finish fights. Don't get me wrong. He has pretty good power in his hands. That's about all he has. I mean, his striking is technical and he's powerful, but if he's not putting you out with the low volume, it gets a little dicey, especially because people can win rounds based on his really poor takedown defense. It is not good whatsoever. His Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or lack thereof, is very questionable as well. I mean, we saw Moicano go out there in his last fight, beat him in 44 seconds, so that's questionable. Christos Giagos before that took him down like 7 or 8 times. Like, it's just his wins themselves in the UFC. Polo Reyes, we know, is a fraud. He's not good. And we know that Nick Hine, he retired after that fight. And it's not like he was anything to write home about. So very questionable wins. Alan Patrick was able to take him down and just hold him down as well. That's really alarming to me. And then the Marcin whooped his ass for 10 minutes. The third round went for a roll, for a leg lock, and got kneed in the face. So that was just stupid ring RQ from Marcin Held. Nothing Demir did necessarily. So I don't really think this guy can be trusted. And it's not like, he's getting better, considering we haven't seen him in a little bit. He's 34 years old. So the Demir we've been seeing is prime Demir. And it's just not really anything to write home about. I can't stand one-dimensional fighters. If you're going to have him be just a power puncher and no volume either, I really don't like that. But I mean, speaking of one-dimensional, his opponent Yancy also isn't necessarily the greatest lightweight in the world. He's all over the place too. He's competed at 45. He's competed at 70. Here he's kind of in the middle at 55. Only difference is, yes, he has a ton of losses, but he's losing to good guys. But Lando Venata, Groovy's good. Gregor Gillespie is a honestly top 5 guy in the division. Donald Cerrone, this is 2018 Donald Cerrone before he, kind of just crumbled up. Donald's last run. So Donald was good then. He has wins over Alex Cowboy Oliveira. He went back-to-back Cowboys here. Eric Silva, my boy, I loved Eric Silva, but Eric Silva did the whole pretend fist bump and then punch your deal, so Eric kind of fell off after that. But even Trinaldo, John Medeski, Dustin Poirier, he's fighting the best of the best. Jim Miller, he has some pretty decent competition here. The only thing is he's losing to these guys, the Jim Millers, the Rustums, the DPs of the world. He's losing. The thing is, Demir isn't that guy. Yancey also has good striking, but he does not have Demir's power. Demir's power outweighs him by a mile, but Yancey actually throws volume. Yancey has good takedown defense, but that doesn't matter here because Demir's not going for a takedown, and his cardio's okay. Yancey, it's not good, it's not bad, it's all right. I know he does a lot of training with Max Holloway. He left for a while, and I think he's back in Hawaii for this fight camp with Max. So that'll be pretty interesting. But yeah, if you're going to give me two strikers, one is fought. Give me the one that's fought the higher level of competition, and the one that has more volume. If it's plus money as well, I see this thing going to a decision. So if you want a little extra juice, you could always do Yancey by decision. Otherwise, I mean, he's already the dog. If he's sitting at plus 115, plus 20, that's enough value. I will have a bet on Yancey Medeiros, and I'm going to start the fight night with a dog pick. So pick is Yancey, and I'm actually going to go ahead and play some money on Yancey as well. Again, he's all over the place with weight classes, so make sure we look at the weigh-ins just to see how he's looking. If he looks too drained, I might pull that back. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but as long as he looks good on the scale, I will have a bet on Yancey. Then the next fight of the night is Heart versus Mind. We have Charles Rosa coming in at a minus 175 favorite against Guitar Hero Justin James. We have the over 2.5 at minus 120, under 2.5 at minus 110. We'll start with my boy Justin James. I love Justin James for no reason. He's not good. He doesn't have a winning record in the UFC. He's lost 3 straight. He's lucky to be getting a 4th. In all honesty, he's a 45-pounder, yeah, but he's all over the place. He's a yes man. I mean, his first fight he took on short notice and just went out there and just sold out and got the KO over Frank Camacho. So that was a good debut, exciting. Then he dropped down to 45 to fight Gavin Tucker. Gavin Tucker's good. It was a big step up, and he got shown what the next level is. So then he takes a fight against Mowgli. And I mean, Gabriel Benitez, again, he's one of these guys. He doesn't have a huge name, but he's good, man. He's pretty underrated. And I know he had a lot to fight for with all this stuff with his father happening. And he went out there with his heart on his sleeve. And man, is this guy exciting, but he just can't seem to get the job done. And then he went back up the lightweight. Again, short notice, he'll hop in. He's more than willing. He's game. And he got his ass whooped by Devontae Smith, a returning Devontae Smith. And I'm telling you right now, I've bet on Justin James all 4 of his UFC fights. It was nice. I mean, in regards to he's always a dog, and I love dogs with a puncher chance. I love dogs with wrestling. That's usually my go-to. He doesn't use it though. He has a 0% takedown accuracy in the UFC. Granted, he's only shot like 2 or 3. I mean, it's one of those like I'm in trouble, I need to shoot ordeal. So it's not like he timed it and tried to get a good shot in. But yeah, he has a wrestling background. I'm pretty sure he wrestled D1 or D2. He's an All-American, either D1 or D2. I don't remember. Looks like D2 at Alovia College, but again, that's his background, but he just doesn't use it. He's a brawler, man. He's exciting to watch, but that's when you have to stop putting money on people that are fun to watch or people that you enjoy. It's heart over brain. And right now, you want to talk about fun to watch. Charles Rosa is the complete opposite of that. He doesn't bring a ton to the table, in my opinion. I think he's a little overrated. Yes, he only loses to good competition. Losing to, well, no, he lost to Derek Minner. It's not like Derek Minner is at the top of the food chain, but he did lose to Derek Minner. He lost to Bryce Mitchell, who's really, really good at 45. He lost to Shane Burgos, really good at 45. Yair Rodriguez, really good at 45. Dennis Seaver, not the greatest, but at 2014, he was at least presentable. So he's taken these big, they believe in this guy. They give him good, big names at the times, and then he loses. Then they give him a step back and go, all right, well, you lost to Dennis Seaver. How about you take a Sean Soriano? And he beat Sean Soriano. How about you take a Kyle Boschnak? He beats, but so you see this repetition. Even Manny Bermudez at that point was kind of starting to fade away in 2019. So they give him someone really, really good and he loses, and then they give him someone really bad and he goes out there and gets the job done. And that's why he has this alternating record. I mean, all the way back to 2014. It's loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. He lost his last fight. So if history repeats itself, he should win this fight. He is the favorite over Justin James. He is really, he's good on the ground. He's like a second degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He has a lot of volume. He doesn't have power. So if he wins, I would definitely need to put something like him by decision. It's just Justin James goes out and he's so exciting and he keeps getting finished because he goes for broke. So it's kind of concerning to throw a by decision prop on there, but he has no power whatsoever. But his striking's not terrible. The part that's terrible about Charles Rosa is his takedown defense. It's bad. It's very, very bad. Like some of the worst in the division. I mean, Sean Soriano he beat, but Sean Soriano is a striker and he took him down 3 or 4 times. Dennis Seaver took him down 3 or 4 times. Bosniak took him down 3 or 4 times. Like these aren't wrestlers. These are literally strikers, and they're taking him down with ease. I think he has like a 30 or 40% takedown defense, and it's not like it's a small sample size. He has quite a few fights in the UFC, so that's not good. It's proven to be terrible. Justin James has a wrestling background, literally wrestled in college. However, he doesn't use that. He's going to want to go out and brawl. And as much as I love Guitar Hero, it kills me to say that the pick would be Rosa. The bet, I'd probably just pass because Justin James has some power. Charles Rosa can be backed up a little bit and fight a little tentative, but he's pretty durable. He's only been knocked out 1 time, and that's by Shane Burgos, and that was just through wear and tear all the way into it. Took all the way into 3 minutes left in the fight, and I don't think Justin James has that cardio the way he fights. He can't fight like that for 3 rounds. Man, so I would honestly, me personally, I'm gonna pass because I want to bet James with him being plus 140, but I know that's the dumb thing to do, and I want to get plus money with Rosa by making it by decision. But I know the way James fights, and I don't want to do that. And Charles Rosa isn't really one to be trusted. So this is definitely a pass. I don't even really want to touch the totals, the over-unders, because, again, they're about the same. There's no value, minus 120, minus 110. So the pick is Rosa. If you want to throw Rosa in a parlay, you can, but just one. Don't throw him in a ton. He's not to be trusted. If you want to take the shot on James, you can. You might as well just go by KO because that's the only way he wins this fight. So, dog or pass, or you can throw Rosa in a parlay, but don't do many of them. Only like one with him in there, in all honesty. Your choice. And then the next fight of the night, we have Julia Avila coming in against Julia Stoliarenko. If you remember this fight, it was booked back in March. And Stoliarenko is the one that kind of fainted on this, not kind of, definitely fainted on the scales. We have Avila. The problem with this fight is Julia is a minus 365 favorite. Stoliarenko is a plus 270 dog. The over 2.5 is minus 182. Under 2.5 at plus 147. We'll start with Avila. She's good, man. She is the definition of an athlete. I know she ran track at Notre Dame in college. I know that she has great cardio. Her striking's really good. Her ground game's supposed to be decent. She kind of got muscled by Sarge Eubanks, but Sarge Eubanks says BJJ is underrated. So, I mean, getting controlled down there by her is understandable. You still wish to see a little more. Avila did look a little intimidated down there. I wouldn't say fish out of water, but she just wasn't throwing anything up. It was just kind of lazy, and it was weird. She was just getting controlled down there. Her power's okay. She has a few knockouts on her record. I mean, Gina Mazzani, that doesn't count. Everyone knocks her out. But yeah, she has a ton of wins by finish on here. Some submissions, mostly KOs and decisions. Her takedown defense is okay. I mean, again, Sarge is a different animal, so it for the most part holds up. Not anything she has to worry about with Stoliarenko, who has terrible takedowns. She calls herself a wrestler, but she's no wrestler. I don't even think she has a takedown in the UFC. But Julia, the thing with her, the time's ticking. She's 33. So she's good enough to be a top 10 girl, top 5, maybe, if she puts it all together. But she needs to get herself to a good camp. I was doing my classic Instagram stalking. I'm not really seeing where she is, in all honesty. I don't even know what fight camp that was over in Oklahoma, but she needs to. I know Cody Saftik over at the over at the Dogger Pass podcast was talking about, like, James Krause offered her to come over. ATT offered her to come over and train. And she even told Krause yes, and then no one really sees anything about it. So I don't know much about that either. I just know that I don't really recognize anyone she's training with. So if she puts it together, goes to a big camp, she can be a top 5 girl in the division. I can't say the same about her opponent, Julia Stoliarenko. She was on the Ultimate Fighter and Tough. And then she's one of these girls they didn't really like sign right away. She had to go back to the regionals. She's tough, don't get me wrong. I don't think she's ever been knocked out. She's never been, let's see. Oh, yeah, she has been knocked out. I take that back. She lost by a knockout once. Otherwise, the thing with this girl, if you're going to bet Julia Stoliarenko, just go ahead and do the sub prop because she's not winning any other way. She calls herself a wrestler, but she's not. She can't strike a lick. She is not a striker. She's tough. She's durable. She can't strike. She's just, the only reason we know she's tough and durable is because she's getting her shit rocked on the feet. But when it comes to the ground, I can't even say she's a ground wizard. She is Ronda Rousey 2.0, to where Ronda without wrestling. Because when you look at her wins, she has a split decision win, right? Prior to coming to the UFC. Look at the win before that, armbar. Win before that is a doctor stoppage because of a broken nose. I don't know what that's suspect. But then you have win, armbar, win, armbar, win, armbar, win, armbar, win, armbar. Like, it's ridiculous. If you go to the ground or she's on top, she's only good. She has one move and she's nasty at it. She is literally like Ronda Rousey, where they're so good at one move, she just continues to do it. And it works for her. And obviously we saw some question marks on the ground with Julia Avila, but at the same time, Stoliarenko has to find a way to get it to the ground. She's not a wrestler. So if she gets on top, yeah, Julia could be in a little bit of trouble. However, I don't see her getting it there. And if she's forced to stay on the feet, she's in trouble. So I wanted to take the over since Julia is so tough. However, minus 182 is not the worst. I just don't know if she can take it for 15 minutes without the refs jumping in. The refs seem to jump in, or the doctors seem to stop the fights a lot more and a lot quicker in female fights. So then I take a look at the under at plus 147, and it's tempting. I know, honestly, would just throw Julia in a parlay, Avila. But at the same time, minus 365. Like, what is the point? The money's too high. It's too steamed. You can't take that. So I would honestly just pass because the lines are terrible. The lines are accurate. Don't get me wrong. She should be that big of a favorite, but there's no value on it, man. You can try to take a shot at the under. There's a weird streak going on where at least like one girl fight actually does end early. So this might be the one, in all honesty. But that's if you're feeling frisky. You're feeling froggy jump, but otherwise I'd just stay away from this fight with a pass. So the pick is going to be Julia. The bet would be the under 2.5, just to make a Hail Mary glory play. Otherwise, stay the hell away from it. It's a pass. The next fight is one that most people are staying away from, but I'm feeling, and I don't agree with the masses again. I see Ike Villanueva against Marcin Prachnio. We have Prachnio at a minus 190. We have Ike at a plus 150 dog value. The over 1.5 is minus 172. Under 1.5 is plus 142. We will start with Ike, who I think this is the bottom of the barrel, light heavyweight division fight, because neither one are that good. Ike is decent on the feet, I guess. He has some knockouts in his record, but I don't think he throws that much heat. When you really watch the fights, it's not really, I don't see like, oh gosh, that's a dangerous power puncher. I mean, obviously it looks like that against Vinicius Moreira, but if that guy gets a finger laid on him, he falls over. It doesn't count. He's a Gina Mazzani of the male division. It doesn't count. If they lose, it's going to be by knockout. So then you see a knockout over Rashad Collier. No idea who that is. Roger Navarez, also not the greatest record. No idea who that. So he's knocking out these lower level guys Otherwise, like anyone else, he's just going to decision. It's just watching the fight is different than looking at Wikipedia, looking at Tapology. When you physically watch what's going on, I don't fancy him someone as a power puncher. And in the UFC, in all honesty, he has one knockout against the guy that, again, anyone can knock. I can knock out. So at that juncture, I just don't really trust Ike. I don't know what he's good at. I guess he throws a decent amount on the feet. He does like the pressure a lot. And he's pretty durable. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's going in there and knocking out UFC caliber guys, but I don't think they're finishing him easily. His loss against Jordan Wright, again, that was a weird cut stoppage. It just stopped before it even got started. It's only a minute 30 in. So you can't really do anything about your face. You know, the doctor stopping it from a cut. Ike's wrestling is questionable, as well as his jiu-jitsu is a little questionable. You don't really see much of it from the fight tape that I did. Again, his striking is predominantly just a boxer. He doesn't throw a lot of kicks or anything like that, just pressure and box with not a ton of power. And honestly, it might work with Prochnow, because I don't think Prochnow is that good either. He was billed as someone that was supposed to be really, really good coming into the UFC, and he flopped tremendously. I mean, he lost his first 3 fights, all by knockout, all in the first round. Only thing is, man, when you really watch the fight, he's not as bad as the record shows. I was probably the only person in the world that had a bet on Marcin to win by decision against Khalil Roundtree. But Roundtree did talk about retirement a ton, which prompted me to pull the trigger and actually bet on Prochnow. If you say you're retiring, I don't bet on you. I will bet against you no matter what. And it's profitable. It works every single time. I can't tell you the last person that said they were retiring prior to the fight. And then actually won. Otherwise, you look at his losses. His last loss to Mike Rodriguez, that one's bad. It doesn't look good. Slow Mike is not good. I think he might be one of the worst light heavyweights. He's in this kind of realm. So that's not a good look. I have no way of defending Marcin there. Magomed Ankalaev, I think, again, is going to be champion within the next year and a half. So there's not really any love lost there. He shouldn't have been in that fight, to be honest with you. And then Sam Alvey, when you really watch the fights, I mean, it's not like Prochnow was doing terribly. Prachnow's okay on the feet. He's a sambo guy, so his wrestling is there. It's enough. And Sam Alvey isn't good at all. The only thing Smiling Sam has is power. So if you get clipped, I get it. I mean, it's Sam Alvey. He's goofy. He's a little flubby at 205, but the power doesn't go no matter what weight you're in. And it translated over, and he did catch him. So, hey, you lost. You got knocked out by someone that is known for power. You got knocked out by someone that's about to be champ. And then you got knocked out by Mike Slow Rodriguez. That one's rough. So, I mean, Roundtree, that fight looked fine. We're seeing that Marcin may not go out there and just finish everyone like he tries to. I know it worked in the regional scene, and over in one championship, he looked like an animal, but that's lower level. And his other loss was to Alexander Rakic, and he also got knocked out. So yeah, he has a little bit of a chin issue, but I really don't think Ike hits that hard. I can be wrong, but fight tape compared to what you read, I don't think he hits that hard. So in all honesty, I would let Marcin outpoint. In all honesty, I think he can outpoint him. His cardio is a little better than Ike's. He has a little more to offer because he can wrestle a little as well. If you have two people that I think are like 50-50 standing up and one of them can wrestle, I'll always pick the one that can get the takedown to seal the round. I think the safer bet is the over, just because they have it down to 1.5 because of his chin. I think that it's a little fluky. He got knocked out by Rakic, who's a top contender. He got knocked out by Sam Alvey, who's just known for smiling and having power. And he got knocked out by Ankalaev, who literally is a top 3 guy and might be champ next year. That's not his fault. The Slow Mike one, that's rough. It's a rough day at the office. I mean, it's the UFC. It's MMA, baby. Anyone can knock out anyone. So I can't give him a pass. But the likelihood of Ike knocking him out, I don't really see. And I also don't see him knocking out Ike again. Ike is very durable. So I will have a bet. Everyone says to stay away from this fight. I don't mind the over, only because it's 1.5. You take the over 2.5, you're playing with fire. Fight goes the distance. Hey, all the power to you. But over 1.5 at minus 170 is not the worst value. And I might put a play on it. I don't know if I'll put it in a parlay, but I'm feeling oddly confident about it. So the pick himself is going to be Pacquiao just because he has that Sambo background. And then the bet would just be the over 1.5. Speaking of over 1.5, so next fight of the night, we got Warley Alves going up against Jeremiah Wells. We'll start with Alves, the Colby Covington killer. He's nasty, man. I wish that there could be a catchweight bout against prime BJ Penn against Warley Alves at 170, because I'm telling you right now, these two are the fastest starters. If they were 1-round fights, these two would be champions, literally, and undefeated, because this dude comes out like a man possessed. I mean, look at his wins. His last win, round 1 by punches. His win before that was a round 3, so that was nice for him in all honesty. You look at the Sultan as a start of the end of round 2, some decisions, guillotine chokes. He just comes out really, really fast. And even his losses, like against Usman and Krause or Randy Brown, like he's coming out here and he's winning these first rounds. And then he loses because he runs out of steam. He runs out of gas. He has about 6 minutes of gas in him. So at that point, if he doesn't put you out early, he is the definition of live bet. So if he doesn't put Jeremiah Wells out within the first round, it might be time to start looking at Wells and seeing, when he's a plus 800 dog to win, that might be the time to pull the trigger. The problem is Jeremiah Wells is also a fast starter. I can only find a few fights of his on the regional scene. I know he was supposed to join the UFC in 2019, but I mean, at that point, obviously all the COVID stuff happened, injuries happened, and he's just now joining now. He's a little older. So, I mean, in all honesty, Alves is going to have the wrestling advantage. Alves can wrestle. Again, it's only for a little. It's only for a round, but he's a great wrestler. His power is undeniable. This dude hits like a fucking truck. He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, so if he takes you down, it's with purpose. He can put you out that way. He pressures you like no other. It's just that cardio. And then Wells, he's just explosive. His wrestling's okay. It's not bad by any means. It's not great, but it's okay. It's presentable. His cardio is also questionable, and he's pretty hittable and wild. He comes in, there's not a ton of technique. Not that Alves has any either. These two are just going to go in and just swing. They're basically carbon copies of each other. Only Alves is a better wrestler and better on the ground, and probably hits a little harder. So I would say Wells is just like the C or B version of Alves. So at that juncture, in all honesty, I would bet Alves minus 225 is not the worst price tag. It's just tough betting on people that are just betting on people without gas tanks. I don't like to do it. I can't parlay this, man, because I don't know what's going to happen. So at that point, I'm looking at the totals. You have the over 1.5 at minus 140. We have the under 1.5 at plus 110. At first, I was 50-50 on it. Of course, it's 1.5, but then I remembered Wells took this fight on like a week's notice. So, I mean, the pick is going to be Alves. The bet itself, I don't hate the under. It's not my favorite play, but I'll take a look at weigh-ins. If one of them look a little rough at weigh-ins, I'll definitely pull the trigger on the under. If they both come in looking all right, honestly, if that number stays plus money, I might take the under as well. The totals just came out. So as long as that under 1.5 is plus money, I'll probably take a shot at that point, see how I am in the night so far. All right. Then the next fight of the night, we have someone I cast in on as a dog in his debut. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov going up against Michael Prazeres. This fight's weird, man. I don't understand what's happening with this fight. Is Michael Prazeres, man, he's a plus 215 dog. Shavkat is minus 305. The over 2.5 is minus 110, under 2.5 at minus 120. There's a reason Michael Prazeres is a plus 215 dog. You say, oh, he's 26-3. He has a ton of wins. He's looking good. What's the problem? The problem is, one, the way he looked in his very last fight was very shady. And I'll tell you why. Because he was off the juice, man. He's someone that's coming off a 2-year suspension off PEDs. And again, he's someone that predominantly fights at 155. They took him off the juice, and now all of a sudden, a 39-year-old Prazeres is coming back off the juice, and he's up a weight class at 170. I mean, his wins and Zach Cummings and Des Green are fine. Josh Berkman, Gilbert Burns, those are good wins. But he was on the juice, and he was a lot younger, and that's at 55. I mean, the Gilbert Burns one was in 2016. That's 5 years ago, man. He was 34. You can still sling it at 34. 39, you're in some trouble. And right now, I mean, I just don't like that he's up at 170. That's not good, especially his size, man. This dude is 5'6". There are bantamweights. Literally, I was watching The Ultimate Fighter yesterday, and there were bantamweights that were 5'6", 5'7". 5'6" with a 67-inch reach. So this dude, him and Duran Wynn are just in their own world. I don't know what's wrong with them, why they refuse to cut weight. But yeah, literally, this dude is the size of a bantamweight that is just jacked beyond belief. This dude is thick, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. This dude is thick and jacked. But he's 5'6". He's giving up reach against Shavkat, and Shavkat's good, man. I mean, Prazeres, he's one of these guys with his little short stature. He's just like Witt. He'll take you down. He'll hold you down. He's decent on the ground, pretty good jiu-jitsu, pretty good wrestling. But on the feet, he's hittable. And without having reach and being hittable, and he's low volume. That's the other thing. So if this thing stays on the feet, in any of his fights, he loses. It's just as simple as that. He's not going to have cardio. He's not going to have as much power without the juice. He's very hittable. He's not going to have a reach. And then you're like, well, it depends on his opponent. And Shavkat's no joke, man. This dude's 13-0. And you're like, well, he hasn't really fought anyone. He was over at the M1 scene. If you have someone coming over making their debut, and they came from M1 Global, I trust them, because those Russians over there are killers. And for him to be 13-0 is just proving a point. I mean, he came in as a dog against Oliveira because he came in short notice. It took him less than a round. He just slapped on that guillotine, and that was it. He has pretty good striking. He is really good striking, in all honesty. He's a pressure fighter, and so he's going to pressure little itty-bitty Prazeres over against cage. It's in the small cage. So it's going to force Prazeres to strike, but at the same time, it helps him close the distance. And even if he takes Shavkat down, which he very well can, it's not like he's bad on the ground. He has some triangle wins. He knows what's going on down there. He has multiple triangles. He'll throw some stuff. He's active on the ground. And it's if you even get him there. He is pretty good wrestling, too. This dude is just an all-around great fighter, good pressure. And the biggest thing, this dude's reach is huge. This dude is 6'1", has a 77-inch reach. Prazeres is 5'6" with a 67-inch reach. This dude has 10 inches of reach on him. Prazeres isn't even going to be able to throw a leg kick and reach him. It's going to be terrible. So, in all honesty, you would think Shavkat would go out there and he would just, finish this guy in under 2.5. But I don't think Prazeres has ever been finished. So that's the problem with the totals. And when it comes to betting Rakhmonov, this dude's at -305 and it's growing. So I really don't want to do that either. There's no value there, just like Julia Avila earlier. So at this point, you probably have to play the totals or you have to play a prop. I'd probably feel more comfortable with the totals just because Rakhmonov, when you look at his record, he's never gone to a decision. Triangle, guillotine. He's a good ground game, man. Rear naked choke, punches, rear naked choke, triangle, KO, corner stoppage, guillotines, punches. He's never gone to. He has 100% finish rate. So at that point, I think there's just so many advantages for him. He's younger. He's better on the feet, just as good on the ground. Great wrestling. And if you get him down, he's active or he's getting back up. So at that point, you have to pick Shavkat as the pick, and I'll bet the under just in case he gets caught with something on the ground. Again, Prazeres is good on the ground, so it's going to be tough for him I think it's going to be Shavkat by knockout, in all honesty. You can see what the value is on that prop, but I don't think it's going to be much. I think you're better off just taking the under, covering both sides at minus 120. So the pick is Rachmanov. The bet, no value. You probably just have to stay away. If you want to, you can go the under 2.5. At least you have that saving grace of him having a full 2.5 rounds to get the job done, because he's going to. It's just a matter of when. Next fight, we can just pass because this fight sucks. I'm just kidding. We got Danilo Marquez going up against Kenny Nzechukwu. We have Kennedy coming in at minus 135. Line flip, man. It was on Danilo and it flipped over to Kennedy. Kennedy minus 135. Marquez come back at plus 105. Under 1.5 is minus 182. Over 1.5 is minus 182. Under 1.5 is plus 147. Marquez is someone I just don't believe in. He has virtually zero striking. His ground game's decent. I think it's a little overrated, but it's good. I mean, he trains with Rafael Cordero. Marvin Vittori is like main training partner. I mean, the dude's good on the ground. Don't get me wrong. It's not like Jacare, Andrew Muniz scary on the ground, but he's good. His wrestling, he has the same takedown over and over, kind of like Damian Maia, just that single leg, but he's good at it. And it depends, like heavyweight, you don't have a ton of great wrestlers, so it works for him. That's really all he has, in all honesty. He has a good single leg. His cardio is questionable. His striking is non-existent. When he does strike, his chin is way up in the air, and it's just asking to get taken out. But he does pressure you just to get that single leg, or even sometimes try to shoot a double so that he can work his jiu-jitsu. That's about all he has. So, I mean, no good wins in the UFC. Slow Mike Rodriguez is ass. Cadiz is probably the worst signing they ever had. Otherwise, just a whole bunch of arm bars. And his losses by KO. Who'd have thought? Because he leaves his chin out in the air like that. And if someone's going to catch it, I mean, Kennedy technically could catch him. I don't really believe in Kennedy at all. That last fight against Izzy's partner was Olberg. What is his name? Gosh. Yeah, Olberg, the model. I mean, he literally just pulled a rope-a-dope. I haven't seen one in the UFC in a very long time, but he definitely pulled a rope-a-dope. A win over Darko Stosic is okay. It's that guy. I think he got cut. I know he's fighting over at heavyweight over in like Russia somewhere now and doing well. I know the guy's not that bad. I don't know if he got cut or if he just left, but it's not the worst win. The Paul Craig loss, he was actually winning that fight and then got caught in a triangle. But I mean, he's young, he's green. I mean, he only has 9 pro fights. He's not even 30 yet. He's developing. You're watching him develop every single fight. It's just right now he's kind of he can be taken down. His cardio is also questionable. He really just has good striking. He comes up with good game plans over at Fortis, and that's about all he has. His power is okay. It's enough to put out Marquez. Don't get me wrong, definitely. I just don't know if I trust him on the ground with Marquez. I don't like this fight at all because I don't know how to bet it. I'll say the pick will be Kennedy, just because I see him get better each time. So hopefully he gets better again at some aspect. So the pick will be Kennedy. The bet itself, I guess Kennedy. I would do the under if it wasn't 1.5. I don't like that. I don't like that it's 1.5. If it was 2.5, I'd be all over it. 1.5, you're pushing it. Over 1.5, I can see 2, but minus 180. Because Kennedy does start kind of slow typically. I will probably, if I had to bet, I'd probably just take Kennedy, in all honesty, but stay away from this fight. I'm picking the bet would be Kennedy, but don't parlay him. I'd really just, if you believe in him, go ahead. If you want to fade Marquez, go ahead, but don't throw Kennedy in a parlay. I don't trust that fight at all. Speaking of fighters I don't trust, I love Renato Moicano. Also can't be trusted, especially at a minus 255 favorite. Come back on Jay Herbert at plus 195. We have the over 2.5 at plus 115, under 2.5 at minus 145. That under is growing, and I'll tell you why. Because Moicano's a finisher. This dude is nasty on the ground. He's real good on the ground. He has real good wrestling, in all honesty. His striking, is developing, and I see him getting a lot better. Like his striking is getting good. Even his last fight against Fiziev's probably like a top 3 striker in the division, in the lightweight division. He's the striking coach for Tiger Muay Thai. So if you're good enough on the feet to be training Peter Yan how to do stuff, like you're pretty legit. And Moicano was holding his own on the feet. But the thing is, you're playing with fire. If you want to stand with that guy, that's questionable ring IQ, and he paid the ultimate price for it. I mean, even though he looked good for a few minutes, he ultimately got knocked out in the first round. And then you look at the Damir Hadzovic fight, that was a lot better ring IQ. He took him down and tapped him out right away. It's not like Moicano's losing to scrubs. I mean, his losses are his fault for standing up with Fiziev. Then he lost to the Korean Zombie. He lost to Jose Aldo. He lost to Brian Ortega. Mind you, he was whooping Ortega's ass and then got caught in the guillotine. So yeah, he was. I mean, he beat Calvin Kattar, Jeremy Stevens, Zabir Tagirov is good. Cub Swanson's a good win. Like he has great wins. And again, you're seeing these names. He was at 145 for a while, and he went up to lightweight just because he kept getting knocked out. He got knocked out by Zombie. He got knocked out by Aldo. Got finished by Ortega, and he was blaming his gas tank. So he went up to 55 against Fiziev and got knocked out. But again, that was terrible, terrible ring IQ, just striking with that dude. If he tries to do that against Herbert, we could see the same thing, because Herbert's good, man. You think of his last fight, he lost to Francisco Trinaldo. But Trinaldo, I mean, he's old, but he's still got it. So he was kind of playing with fire. He was winning. Don't get me wrong. That's his route to win, and he was winning that fight. I had him losing the first round. I had him easily winning the second, not even close. The third round, he was killing again, and he was just cruising to another win until he got caught with the right hand from hell to the forehead. Herdeeb wanted to watch someone die in the octagon that night. Then eventually, Dan Hardy made him step in. I mean, right now, when you look at his record, he does have quite a few knockouts. He trains with Leon Edwards, and he fights exactly like him. Tall, lanky, huge reach, great on the feet, decent takedown defense. And I mean, if he is on the ground, he knows what's happening. He's not probably going to throw anything up, but he'll get to his feet pretty easily. Just tall, lanky, good striker, man. I like this kid striking a lot. I like how good his cardio is a lot. But his chin is also questionable. He got knocked out by Trinaldo in the third. And then his only other loss was a knockout to Reese McKee. And his wins are questionable. He's not fighting the best competition over there in England. Reese McKee was in the UFC, and Reese McKee knocked him out in the first round. Trinaldo, obviously, his UFC debut, and he got knocked out. So when he fights someone good, it's not going well for him. When he's fighting these other guys, you see the technique, and he looks like a superstar. Both of these guys have chin issues. And that's why you see the under being the way it is at minus 145 and growing. So the pick, again, if you have two people that are pretty good, I will always take the person that has more routes to win, and that is Moicano in this instance. Can I trust him at minus 255? Hell no. So I would go the under ASAP. And I think that's a pretty good bet. I would definitely do so before it gets steamed anymore. Once it starts hitting like minus 160, minus 180, we have a little bit of issue. Minus 145, I'll take it up to minus 160. After that, I'm cutting it off and just kind of picking a side. Jake Herbert's a live dog, in all honesty. Plus 200, not bad value. If you want to take the shot, do it. Otherwise, if the under is still under minus 160, I'd even feel comfortable throwing that in a parlay. I'm pretty confident in that. So it'll be a fun fight as long as it lasts. Pick Moicano, bet the under, or live dog with Herbert. All righty. Next fight of the night, we have Tim the Dirty Bird Means against Nicholas Dalby. We have Means at minus 155, Dalby at plus 125, over 2.5 at minus 215. Under 2.5 at plus 165. Tim Means is underrated. Tim Means is another generalist. He's all right on the ground. He's not the greatest on the ground. He's okay. He knows what's going on. He has pretty good wrestling. It's pretty underrated. His striking you see getting better each and every fight. And he's one of these like pressure dirty boxers to where it doesn't have to be that technical because he's just always in your face, always just throwing a decent amount of volume. And he's just pressuring you at all times. You know, grabbing some collar ties, like Randy Couture style boxing, DC, just a lot of dirty boxing, and it works for him. And in all honesty, he is a little hittable, so that does concern me, especially because Dalby's a really good striker. But the thing with Dalby is he's a karate stylist. He's someone that kind of fights like he thinks he's Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but he's not as good as him. He's like a B version of him. He has some decent wins. He's pretty durable. I know he got finished by Jesse Ronson, but outside of that, he's really durable. He has that karate wide stance, loves distance to pick apart at you, pick away at you. But like others said, Tim Means does remind me a little of D-Rob. I know that Daniel Rodriguez, it says that Dolby won. He did not win that fight. And the thing is, Tim Means can also mix in wrestling. So at that juncture, if you're giving me someone, again, more ways to win, I will take Means. And he has more volume. Dolby doesn't throw a lot, and that scares me as well. So in all honesty, I don't need to spend a lot of time on this because I feel really, really confident in this. I do like Means quite a bit, especially at minus 155. It's good value. I might even try to get plus money and do Means by decision. And if I can lock a prop, that might be it. In all honesty, I'm very, very confident Tim Means. He will be in most of my parlays. Him being the better wrestler, him liking the pressure with dirty boxing. They're in the small cage in Vegas, so I feel really good about Tim Means. I will have him in a ton of parlays, and if it's good enough plus money, I'll take him by decision and feel very confident about it. So pick Means, bet Means. Next fight of the night is probably going to be my most favorite fight. It's Daniel Pineda going at plus 180 going up against Andre Touchy-Feely at minus 235. Over 2.5, I had at minus 135 and under 2.5 at plus 105 when I checked. I checked again a few hours ago before hopping on here, and the lines are flipping to where it's not plus money for the under anymore. And there's a reason. Because Daniel Pineda is the reason. This dude is 27-14. You're like, oh, this dude is like 50 career fights, 27 wins, a decent amount of wins. 100% finish rate. This guy has never won a decision. He's gone to a decision. He hasn't won them. So, like, it's very seldom he even goes to a decision. But when he does, he's literally never won one. If he wins, it is inside the distance. And it's not just, he's just a one-hitter quitter knockout guy. He has wins via submission. He has knockouts, guillotines, ground and pounds, triangles. He's doing it off his back. He's doing it on top. He's doing it on the feet. This dude's wild. The only problem I have with him is his age, man. And he's 35. He's getting up there. This is his second go around at the UFC. I like this dude a lot. If you want to talk about Justin James and being fun to watch, Daniel Pineda is damn fun to watch. I mean, they're the same weight class. They should have booked that fight, loser leaves town match. But I love watching Daniel Pineda. Don't blink. Something will happen. He's a great wrestler. It's very underrated. His jiu-jitsu, again, underrated. And his striking is good, but his power really resonates on the feet. His chin is questionable. He has been knocked out quite a bit. And it does look like you can break him and make him quit a little bit. And that's mainly because of his bad cardio. Those are his knocks, his heart and his cardio. Not good knocks to have, but damn, is this dude fun to watch. Andre Touchy-Feely is the opposite. You can't doubt his heart. You can't doubt his cardio. Those are probably his two best weapons, in all honesty. You see the losses of Bryce Mitchell. His takedown defense, his accuracy, it's like 60% or something. A lot of that is Bryce, and Bryce is a crazy wrestler. And he did get taken down by Sadiq Youssef, who's not a wrestler, so that's a little concerning. You look at his losses outside of Pepe, I mean, he was good for a little bit for whatever reason. I mean, he's losing to Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar, Michael Johnson, Bryce Missile. So he's only using to the best. He's everybody's stepping stone. So he is literally the gatekeeper at 45. And if you can get past him, all of a sudden you're talking about title contention. If you can't get past him, like the Miles Juries, the Charles Air Jourdains of the world, the Mowgli's, then you get knocked down to 10. So he's literally the barometer. And right now, in all honesty, you look at his wins and his losses. Pineda falls on the Charles Jourdain side of things, to where Andre Fili should win. I don't like the price tag at all at minus 235. Again, Pineda's a wild card. If you're going to bet his fight, all you do is bet the under. And they did grace us with 2.5. So when it was plus money, I was all in. I already locked one in, sniped it real early. I got it at plus 120, the under 2.5, because it is a featherweight fight. So they always think it's going to go a while. Right now, with it being, it was like minus 120 or something when I looked. That's a little more concerning. If you wanted to, I'm scared to throw Andre Fili in a parlay just because of the unpredictability of Daniel Pineda. If you're going to bet, I'd probably still bet the under. It is a Pineda fight. The pick is going to be Fili. He's the rightful favorite. I just don't like the line. If you want to bet it, I'd probably just bet the under. Unless you're extremely confident in Fili, which I completely understand 110%. Well, this is also heart versus mind, because damn, I love watching Daniel Pineda fight. All righty. Then next, we have what could be the fight of the night if Pineda doesn't steal the show. We have Timur Valiev at plus 175, going against Ronnie Barcelos at minus 225. We have the over 2.5 at minus 220, under 2.5 at plus 170. Ronnie is the guy that should have already fought for a title that never has. He's not getting younger. This dude's 34 years old. He's 16-1. He is the best kept secret of this division, in all honesty. I mean, he's good everywhere. I don't know where his weakness is. He has cardio. He pressures you. He has great wrestling. He has good striking. He's great on the ground. I don't know where he has great takedown defense. I do fight tape. I write everyone's pros and cons. This is one of the first fighters I've never wrote a con for. I don't know where he's bad. The only thing you can try to do is out pressure him, I guess, and win some minutes in the judges' eyes. That's really about all you got. The dude's durable. Again, he only has one loss. But the problem is he's not fighting the greatest competition. I mean, he beat Chris Gutierrez, is okay. Saeed Nurmagomedov is a good win. Taha's okay. But at this point in your career, man, you've been in the UFC for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is your 6th UFC fight, man. You've been in the UFC since 2018. You haven't fought a top 10 guy yet. You're going out there and looking great. You're doing it with ease. He needs a step up. And I know he was supposed to get the Merab fight, and it got canceled. That would have been perfect. That would have been the appropriate fight. Rafael Assunção, I'll even take that. I don't know what they were doing with the Rojo. That was stupid. But then he gets Valiev. And the problem is Valiev doesn't have a name, but he's good. He's the same thing as Barcelos. I know you look at him and say, well, Trevin Jones knocked his ass out, but I mean, in all honesty, that fight should have been stopped earlier with Timur being the victor. I don't take it as a no contest like they ruled it, because, I mean, I don't think smoking weed has nothing to do with your performance. So Trevin Jones, you can't take that away from him. And it's not like he got knocked clean out. I mean, he was still on his feet. He was wobbled, trying to figure out where he was, catch his bearings. The dude's good too. He has good wrestling. He has good striking, good cardio. You can back him up a little bit. So Ronnie is going to be the aggressor. Yeah, it's really just his competition level too. I mean, he's not really fighting world beaters either with the Trevin Jones and the Martin Days of the world. In his last win, he proved, the thing that scares me about Timur is that he proved that he's willing to be boring. Like, he came in against Martin Day, who went 0-4 in the UFC, and he didn't care. He took him down, he pressured him, and he played it safe. And I think about GSP. And when GSP got knocked out by Matt Serra and then went with that long run of just decision GSP, that's what Timur looked like his last fight. And if he wants to do that to Ronnie, if he's any successful at all at it, he has a chance. He's a live dog, and he's plus 175. So, like, as much as I think both of these guys could be top 10 in the division, well, I don't know, their division's rough. Top 15, both of these guys could be top 10, top 15. Ronnie could be top 5, in all honesty. It's just the line is off again on this card. It's ridiculous. So, like, I want the pick is gonna be Ronnie, but the bet would it have to be dog or pass. It literally have to be dog or pass with Timur. The only other thing I can see is the over, but that's steamed at minus 220. So, I mean, you can try it. You could throw it in a parlay because I do see this fight going the distance. Otherwise, I mean, you can parlay Ronnie in all honesty, minus 225 too. It's the same word deal. So I'd either just parlay Ronnie or dog or pass. I mean, I could see either way. You can't go wrong. I mean, obviously someone's gonna be wrong, but both of them make 110% sense. So the pick is Ronnie. The bet is either Ronnie at a parlay for value or just dog or pass. All righty. And then the next fight of the night, we have Tanner Boser going up against OSP. I'll make it short, sweet, to the point. OSP is plus 145, Boser at minus 170. Over 2.5 is minus 155. Under 2.5 is plus 125. Boser can't be trusted. I think Boser is the appropriate favorite. He has good striking. He has good cardio. His takedown defense is questionable. It's not bad. Looking at the fight tape, it's really not that bad. I know he lost his last fight because of his takedown defense, but Ilir Latifi is a Olympic wrestler, so you can't really fault him there. And then you look at the other people that tried to take him down, like Pessoa, and obviously he's going to stuff those with ease. I think he's somewhere in the middle, so you have to be a decent caliber wrestler to take him down. And if you are, you can, and you can hold him down, and that's all she wrote. The thing is, that's really his weakness. I mean, his striking, he doesn't have a lot of power. I know he has a win again, a knockout over Pessoa, but in retrospect, I mean, he hasn't had a knockout outside of that. Like, he has leg kick wins in 2019. Outside of that, his last knockout via punches was in 2017. So we're talking 4 years ago. He's not known for his power. He has a heavyweight volume puncher because he's at around, like, he weighs in at like 225, 230, which is good for OSP because OSP is a light heavyweight. He had a fight, got canceled, and he's like, well, I can't just keep cutting weight. I'm going to just go up to heavyweight since that's an option. And it's fine. Usually I would say that's bad for him. He's too little for heavyweight. But if he's going to go against one of the smallest heavyweights in the division, that's perfectly fine. I don't see a problem with these two being matched up. They're probably going to weigh in the same amount. I wouldn't be surprised if OSP weighed in heavier than Tanner Boser, in all honesty. It's just OSP's old, man. This dude's 39, I think. How old is he? He's 38. I mean, the way to beat Boser is to take him down and control him. OSP, people talk about him having a good ground game. I think he has just one move, like Ronda and her armbar, that Von Flue choke. I don't know why he loves it so much, but it's not like he's out there and just out wrestling people. The Von Flue choke, he's on his back. So if he's not going to go out there and take out Boser, I mean, is the lowest volume. This dude does not throw. He has some heat in his hands, don't get me wrong. He has okay power. His striking's good when he throws. It's just he waits, he counter strikes. And Boser's not one to go in and rush. He rushes with leg kicks. He lost that Arlovsky fight, even though I thought Boser won. He lost it because the judges valued Arlovsky's punches over Boser's kicks. That's not going to happen all the time. It depends on who the judge is. And this fight I see playing out exactly the same way. OSP is going to have the more quality punches. When he actually lets it go, it's going to have a larger effect. But at the same time, Boser is going to double him up on strikes. So if it's me, I know the wrestling isn't a factor. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu isn't going to be a factor. It's going to be a stand-up affair. Give me the volume. I know he lost the last one just like this, but I don't foresee that happening again. I scored it for Boser, so if I did it that way, I'm going to bet on it again. I'm not going to, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to bet Boser just because it could be a 50-50 fight. I do see it going to a decision. I do see it being possibly a split. So at that point, I'm just betting fight goes a distance or the over is minus 155. If Boser is minus 170 and I'm getting better value on the over and have both sides covered, they're both durable guys. I know that He got knocked out by Jamal Hill, but that's a standing TKO. It's not like he was out or anything like that, knocked out, senseless. So at that juncture, yeah, I would definitely bet. I would bet the over 2.5 and feel pretty confident in it because I think Boser's going to win. I don't think he has enough power to knock out OSP, so I honestly feel very confident in the over. So the pick is going to be Boser. Bet is going to be the over 2.5. And that takes us to the main event, folks. Again, we're the final fight of the night. This is where we bring out the big guns. Let you know that my wife got me a Stats and Stacks t-shirt. We are fired up, ready for this card. And again, for the official picks, you got to go to the Stats and Stacks podcast over on Twitter, over on Instagram. Right now, we are on fire with picks. You got to trail at this point. You just gotta trail if you want to make money. And this is another one where the line is off. We have Cyril Gane coming in at minus 175. We have Volkov at plus 140. That's how it was when I bet it. But some big money came in on Volkov. Last time I checked, he was plus 115. When the line originally came out, it was a pick 'em. And that's how the over-under is right now. Over-under set at 4.5. Over 4.5 is minus 115. Under 4.5 is 115. We'll start with Jan. He doesn't have a great strength of schedule, but it's not his fault. He's 8-0. Who's he supposed to be fighting? He only has 8 pro fights, but he's good, man. He's a great striker. He has great cardio. He mixes it up to the leg, to the body, to the head, and I absolutely love that. If I have someone that's coming in and doing body work, I love that. His submission game, his ground game's decent. You saw him tap out Dontel Mays. Not like that's a huge accomplishment, but he plays it safe. He's a very safe fighter. That is something I like to bet on. He didn't go for that submission. He just played it safe knowing he was winning. As soon as he saw he only had a few more seconds left in the fight, he said, well, I have it. Let me go for the leg lock. And he got it. So, I mean, he's a very, very smart guy. You see him improving just even more so. He's so good. It's so quickly. This dude just turned pro in 2018. So it's only been 3 years and he's already knocking on the door of a title shot. Former training partner of the champion right now, Francis Ngannou. So that'd be interesting to see those two go at it, considering, that was sparring sessions for a while. But yeah, I don't have a lot of negative to say about him. I guess you could question the wrestling, but it looks fine. It checks out. Not that Volkov's going to go out there and wrestle him anyway. Volkov is not a wrestler. He does need a lot of space to work. He's another one of these guys. He has a lot of bounce in his step. So he's definitely one that benefits from a bigger cage, not a smaller cage. So that's the only knock I have. Not on him, just the cage size itself. Kind of plays in more of Volkov's side. Because Volkov is someone that has been pressuring lately. Volkov, great striking, very durable. I know Derek Lewis knocked him out with like 1 second left, but again, that was an anomaly. He won 14 minutes and 59 seconds of that fight. His submissions are okay, enough to counteract Cyril. His takedown defense was a little questionable in all honesty. I know everyone's going to point to him getting taken down 14 times, but Curtis Blades is the best wrestler in the division currently. So, I mean, can you really fault him that much? Otherwise, I know he had problems in the past. It just looks like he shirted up, but he ran into the best wrestler and got taken down a lot. And then outside of that, he's fine. The only thing I don't like about Volkov right now, his power's okay. It's not like he's a one-hitter quitter, but he'll punches and bunches. His subs are okay. Good cardio, good striking. I don't like bulked up Volkov as much. He used to be a little like stream being weighing in at like 240. Now he's tipping the scales at like 260. You see the muscle, man. He put on 20 pounds of muscle, got himself some new tattoos. He looks like a new man. I think the Blades fight made him think he needed more power to defend these takedowns. It's just there's not a lot of wrestlers in the heavyweight division. I don't like it because it looked like he slowed down against Walt. He has been that big in his last 2 fights, and it was against Walt and against Alistar. Yes, he won both those fights. Yes, he got knockouts in both of those fights. So he's thinking that this muscle is what he needed to win the championship. but his cardio looks questionable in those two fights. He's breathing with his mouth open in the second round, and he's one of these guys that are known for volume, clean, precise striking, and great cardio, and that was doing him wonders. I mean, it's not like he was getting killed before. He was what, 31-7 prior to, or 30, and he was 30-7 prior to putting on that 20 pounds of muscle. It was clearly working. He got outworked by a wrestler. It happens. Shit happens. I don't like the new muscled Volkov. I really don't. It scares me because that's not how he fought his whole life. I mean, he's 34 years old, and or what is he, 32 years old, and now all of a sudden he has a different fighting style. Like, I don't like that. He fights the same way. He hits harder, but I think it's going to affect his cardio. I love it in 3-round fights. The 5-round fight scares me. And I know Gane has cardio for days. If Volkov slows down with all this new muscle, he's going to be in trouble. I do have a bet on Volkov. Don't get me wrong. Plus 140 was ridiculous. At the current line, with it being like plus 115, I wouldn't feel comfortable. At that juncture, if you're getting me like minus 150 on Gane, I would bet Gane. Like, in all honesty, the pick is Cyril Gane. The bet, if there's value in Volkov, if you get that plus 140, take it. Stay away from the over-under. I don't know what's going on there. Both seem pretty durable, but I don't like that at all. So I would do dog or pass if it's good value on Volkov. If you're only getting like plus 115, plus 110, plus 120 on Volkov, I don't like that. I would just go Cyril Gane. So check the line prior to. The pick will be Gane. Again, it depends on the line, who I'm betting. I'm probably done betting this fight. I already found good value on Volkov. I'll probably leave it as is. So I guess I'll say the bet is Volkov. But again, if that line keeps moving back to a pick'em price, hop on Gane while you can. Otherwise, yeah, it's a lot of weird fights this fight night. It's just the lines, man. I like the fights. They're going to be entertaining fights. Good matchmaking, just the lines are off. So it's a really tough one to navigate. Weigh-ins are going to make a major point and everything again. So again, you have to follow over on Instagram, over on Twitter. We'll post our official bets every Saturday morning. I will be traveling this weekend for your boy's birthday. So that's not going to stop me from posting, though. I'll be on a different time zone. It might not come at the same time it usually does, but I will have some bets posted on Saturday. Otherwise, it's going to be a fun fight night. Enjoy watching, and let's make some money again, baby. We're on a roll. Let's keep it going.